too. Make sure that the shower floor has a non-skid surface. Suction mats or textured decals can help here. Install an automatic light sensing night light for nighttime trips. And it's good to put these both in the bathroom and along the path between the bathroom and the sleeping area. In the kitchen, I'll touch on the kitchen. You might want to keep a lightweight fire extinguisher within reach of the stove. Reserve a spot in the kitchen or very near the kitchen where food can be prepared while seated. That, keeps fatigue to a minimum.
Yeah.
A telephone in the kitchen is excellent for reporting emergencies quickly since it is a dangerous room in the home.
Mm-hmm.
You might want to put one in the bath too.
Yeah, that's a good idea. You go into these real high-priced houses, you often see a phone in the bathroom near the toilet, and you laugh and you think, oh, God, this guy must be really important.
Right. It's very practical.
He's smart. Yeah. He's very smart.
Yeah. And finally, you got to be careful about scatter rugs and runners. They should be fixed in place with double stick rug tape in the kitchen to reduce slips and trips and falls.
Absolutely. I hear you on that one. I've had a lot of clients who insist on having their scatter rugs, and I think, oh my gosh, that's an accident waiting to happen. But you can't convince them. But
right. So you got to go next best route with the rug tape.
If you're lucky, you can get that to happen for sure.
Yeah.
It depends on how willing your parent is to listen to you.
Right.
Well, what about, I was at the Builder Show in Orlando, and they had all the latest and greatest gadgets for technology, like these, voice assistants like Alexis and smart home gadgets. What kinds of things are out there, and do you think they really are useful, or is it just a way for Google to and Amazon to gather information on what we do and say?
I do think they are useful. I don't know if that's my generation talking, but I think we're also in the frontier of these smart home gadgets, and maybe there's a little regulation down the line for some of them. But I'm not affiliated with any smart home gadgets, but I do love to talk about them.
Yeah, no, I would like to hear what you have to say because you're on the cusp of things. I just saw a bunch of stuff and wasn't able to investigate, and so I was counting on your expertise to help us weed through.
So Alexa, as you mentioned, is the name for a voice assistant created by Amazon, and she lives in a little cylindrical gadget called an Echo. Alexa sparks to life when she hears her name. Some people might think she's listening all the time, though. She can do a lot. She can do a lot when you add skills to her. The skills are similar to apps that you would put on your smartphone. But on a basic level, she'll play music for you. She'll tell you the news and the weather. She can sync with your digital calendar. She'll read your Kindle to you. I actually have my Alexa read my Kindle to me all the time.
Now that's cool. I like that.
It's great for when you're, getting ready in the morning and you can't actually sit down and read.
That's a great idea. I did not know that. That's a new one for me. Okay.
So you can also enable Alexa to dial calls and transcribe text messages for you. And though she's not yet enabled to dial 911, the calling feature can still at least get you in touch with a loved one or caretaker if you've, as they say, fallen and can't get up.
Oh, yeah.
And that certainly alleviates the stigma of wearing one of those fobs around your neck all the time.
Yeah, my aunt refused to wear one for years, and finally we got her one, but she still fell. But she did at least call in, but Alexa hadn't been invented yet.
Yeah, so I think that's a really useful feature.
Very much so. It sounds like she can do a whole lot.
Yeah, so most other smart home gadgets can be controlled by smartphone or tablet, and they have video doorbells that you can remotely speak through. They have gadgets to control lights and temperature of your home. They have stuff that will calmly alert you when there's smoke or CO2 dangers without, giving you a heart attack when it goes off.
Or falling, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that happening.
Right. Yeah, they have gadgets that will vacuum and mop and cut the grass.
That one. Yeah.
Yeah. And even they have things that will help you remember to take your medication. And if you forget, a caregiver can be notified wirelessly of a missed dose.
Is that through Alexa as well, or is that something else? A
That
different.
those are, she might have a skill that can be enabled for that. I'm not sure, but there are other devices like Pill Minder, and there's a bunch of different ones on the market that will remind you to take your medication, lest a caregiver be notified of a missed dose.
Yes. Well, that's good too. Yeah, for sure. Well, what other kinds of technology is out there, and how hard is this for, say, an 80-year-old to incorporate as part of their daily life? I mean, they are not technologically astute.
I think more and more every day, even 80-year-olds are becoming more comfortable with technology. And if devices like Alexa are making it easier every day, I think the resistance will become less and less concurrently. But there is one really interesting suite of products that I've come across in my research, and that's called the Grand Care system. And it's an intuitive touchscreen hub that's installed in the resident's home. And caregivers and admins can add or remove various services to the hub as necessary. And caregivers then have their own suite or their own portal on their smart devices that allows them to stay connected to the hub and to the resident.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So the hub, the touchscreen that is in the home, has video calling with caregivers and family members, detailed instructions on using the system. Reminders can be set up of any kind, also medication prompts, and there's web-based entertainment on it like YouTube.
Oh, wow. Yeah. YouTube for old people.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's the same YouTube. It's just...
Yeah, no, it's here to stay, that's for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So outside of that hub, you can also add other things to the home through the Grand Care system, like motion or contact sensors installed around the house that will alert caregivers if the frequency of movement in the house has changed. There's also a bunch of little devices that the hub will read, such as blood pressure cuffs, glucose monitors, ear thermometers, oximeters, and weight scales. And those all report directly back to the caregiver portal so that they can monitor those things.
Now, how does somebody look for this? Do they have to come online, get it through a doctor? And how much do these things cost?
The Grand Care system is not the cheapest on the market. It all depends. The price on the Grand Care system, you can get it right through their webs. If you go to the Grand Care website, just Google it. There's different pricing options depending on what sorts of add-ons you need to put onto it. Like maybe you don't need the motion sensors or contact sensors. Maybe you just need a glucose monitor and the touchscreen. I mean, everything's going to have its own price attached to it, I believe. But it just as a more integrated system as a whole, I think it's definitely a promising approach to the smart home tech for aging in place.
It sounds really, really. This is one time when I'm not at all unhappy about getting older, because there's so much stuff around to help versus what I had to go through with my parents 30 years ago. It's just such a difference now with what's available for people to use to make them feel more comfortable and safe in their home, which is really good.
Right. I mean, the baby boomers have always been great innovators, and I think that's just going to follow right on through to the 65 plus.
I agree. No, I agree. We're in it to win it.
Yeah.
And baby boomers are, like my book says, the baby boomers are going to figure stuff out because that's what we've always done. And
It's why change now?
The way it is, and the millennials will come along and improve on it as they get older and figure out ways, because they grew up with this technology, whereas we had to adapt to it. But it's very, very much a part of our future. That's just the way it is. Allyson, I am so glad you were able to join us, but I do want to have you back for another session where we can talk more in depth about the actual remodeling position. What happens during a remodel, and what can people expect, and considerations that people should think about for entry and exteriors. And I know you will have a wealth of information to share with us, so I hope you will come back and join us at a later date. And I want to thank you again so much for joining us today. You are a wealth of information, and your expertise is very welcome by our listeners. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It was a great time, and I do greatly look forward to coming back again to talk more in depth about the actual renovating.
And how to survive a remodel, which is probably on everyone's mind, no matter what age you are. But that's the other move or improve concept that I have. Do you want to improve your house, which includes, millennials and people who live in a home, but they may want to do an addition. So it's an effect for all of us. But I do appreciate your joining us today, and thank you so much. And we'll look forward to having you come again.
Thank you.
Thank you.